Hi, I'm Ankit Vengurlekar, and today I'm chatting with Dr. Oliver of SAS. And this chat is going to be around a bunch of subjects. One is, of course, business intelligence and analytics, which SAS is a global leader at. AI, everybody's favorite acronym these days, artificial intelligence, its ethics, and the way forward. So, Dr. Oliver, to begin with, I'd like to understand from you the environment of business intelligence and analytics. As per Gartner, this year the projected revenue of the spend on business intelligence and analytics is close to $20 billion. And yet, all around the globe, and even in India more so, we see companies that are running their businesses with contrary spreadsheets and business heads that are making decisions on the basis of gut instinct. How do we see business intelligence and analytics become the norm of doing business in the environment here?
Many organizations still are doing no analytics or very simple descriptive analytics business reporting. Probably 80% of analytics is in that category, descriptive statistics or descriptive analytics. And we do know the value is, there's a lot of value here, but really the value that you can unlock by becoming predictive, with a forward-looking view of analytics. How can I use the data, the patterns and the relationships that are there to predict what will happen and plot a course of action? And now you're replacing decision-making based on gut feeling, on my intuition, and I think this is right, based on facts. Businesses understand there's a lot of value in the data, and analytics is the key to unlock that value. We call it an analytics economy. Data is the fuel, analytics is the engine. You have to start by thinking about what are my data sources? How do I get a holistic view of the enterprise, of the organization, of my customers? Many organizations are still very siloed. We have 13 different versions of the truth. We have an inconsistent view of what's a customer, what's a product, what's a region. And unless you bring this together and resolve it and reconcile it, you do not get that holistic view. Now, there's always going to be intuition and gut feeling involved, but at least we have another barometer that we can look at fact-based decision-making based on data and analytics to maybe help us guide in a better direction. I talk to many customers right now and I say, okay, AI, I want to get going with AI. I said, okay, describe where are you on the analytics maturity curve? Where is analytics in your enterprise? Do you use it strategically? Or do you use it tactically in isolation, in pockets? What is your data strategy? How do IT and business work together? That relationship is key. IT owns the data, owns the governance, owns the model. The business wants to move fast and agile and owns the logic. So if those two teams don't work together, the strategy will not work out.
So in India here, you're partnering with some of the biggest brands and some of the biggest government projects. You're partnered with the UIDAI, the Unique Identity Authority, on the Aadhaar program. And of course, big corporates like Maruti Suzuki, which is the biggest car maker here in India. How do you see the adoption of analytics for running the business? And do you see a big scope here for Indian corporates?
A huge opportunity. The growth of the population, the growth of the economy means growth of data. We have to find a way to get on top of the volume of data and provide analytic solutions. Automation is going to be key. And we talk a lot about automation with AI, but it doesn't have to be just an artificial intelligence solution. It's simply how can I help make repeatable processes using analytics rather than modeling the bespoke, the artisanal. Traditionally, we spend a lot of time working with the data. Highly trained statisticians and data scientists craft models very carefully, and it's difficult to do that at scale.
Right.
We don't have the analytic talent, the domain knowledge to build all these models, to monitor it. So we're getting into a period now in analytics where we need to use automation more to learn from the data, for the models to evolve as new data come about. And that's an interesting challenge now. It's really a different relationship between us and the algorithms when things become more dynamic. But the opportunity is there. Imagine being able to process thousands of, let's say, loan applications rather than 50 a day because we can automate the process. That would make really the world a better place. And it really SAS, that is our mission really, is to improve lives with analytics, whether it's fighting fraud or preventing crime, saving wildlife, or making the interactions between citizens and the government more valuable. That's what it's really all about.
Like you rightly pointed out, AI requires large data sets. And as is the example with the Aadhaar project, the biggest data set that the government of India has ever collected, data sets are getting increasingly centralized, and that also puts them at a huge risk. So what are some of the countermeasures that you can think of to maintain the sanctity and the integrity and security of these data sets?
Well, just bringing these data sources together, as you do in the UID project, in itself is incredibly important. Deduplication, standardization, not having 600 different ways to express the name of a state or different ways of spelling. Just cleaning this up is important. What we do have to think about when we use these big data sets to build models, to build AI systems that then get applied, what are they representative of? If you have a collection of all the citizens in a state, you essentially have a census and you know what this represents. But we collect a lot of data sort of right now by observing the world around us. That's collected by you interacting with a business or you interacting with a website, and you sort of hand over your data. Now, if such data are used to train something, do we know what the training set is actually representative of? The demographics, the population that have been captured. Because if we do not know what it's representative of, how do we know on the output side what the predictions, who the predictions should apply to? And that is how sort of involuntarily bias can actually get into the systems, because the population to which analytics or mathematics is applied to is not the same, or it's not representative of the population or the demographics on which the data were trained. And that's where we actually see systems fall down and where some of the embarrassing failures are happening. It's not inherently a lack of the technology. It is, if the information is not in the data, you cannot expect the information to be in the prediction. Those systems don't learn in that way.
Right.
They don't learn in that, oh, it's an object classification system. I've learned how to classify fruit. And when it says, it has never seen a passion fruit, and you show the passion fruit, it will say apple, orange, whatever it's been in the universe of the data it's been trained on. It does not extend its knowledge this way. So,
Yet.
not yet.
Doesn't do that.
With unsupervised learning, we might get there.
Right.
But the important point is that the importance of the data, the importance of the quality of the data has just been elevated, because we're placing more weight on the information in the data to find the patterns. Sometimes there are patterns in the data we don't want to find. And with a carefully artisanal model, if you will, we can work with the model to avoid that. For example, you might not want to use information about race or gender in a data set. And if I model explicitly, I leave those variables out.
Now, it does take humans to build these incredible AI models and deep neural networks, and we all know how big the global shortage of data scientists is. How do you see this panning out at SAS? And do you think machines can help fix the problems that humans can't?
So it's not just about the lack of the talent to build these models. We should never forget that we cannot take the human out of the equation when we build these models, when we apply these models. Automation is okay, but automation and looking away is not. We are not at the point where we completely let these things run autonomously and expect them to make the right decisions all the time. Those systems are really here to augment what we do, to make us better, to increase our performance, just like technology has always had. Before the invention of the phone, I could not talk from North Carolina to you in India. Now I can.
Sure.
It increased my power to speak, if you will.
Of course.
So, but it didn't replace talking. So the AI systems are not here to replace us or replace what we do. I think of the A in AI actually not as artificial, but as assistive. To assist us to do our jobs better. For example, human memory is pretty poor. We forget things. Now imagine, I don't know if we want this or not, Ted Gruber brought this up in his TED Talk. He's the man behind Siri. What if you could remember every song you've ever heard? It's like Shazam for your brain, right? So if you hear another song, this is it. Or what if you remember the name of every person you've ever met? My wife and I, we recently moved into a new house in a new neighborhood. So when I meet the new neighbors, okay, he has introduced himself to me, and his wife's name is Kate, or is it Desiree? They have 1 kid or 2 kids. What if I meet them, I'm being displayed that information? What if an Alzheimer's patient could get this information displayed as he or she meets grandkids and make our life more enjoyable, make our life better this way? That's what I'm thinking about. When a customer service representative talks to a user and an AI system brings information to them in real time that otherwise they would not have had, for example, to make a better recommendation about how to use a product, or to make a better financial recommendation how to manage their assets and their wealth, that is making us better. That's augmenting us. I'm not thinking about how can I replace a customer service representative with a bot.
Dr. Oliver, thank you so much for this insightful chat, and I must admit that I am leaving this room far more optimistic about the opportunities of artificial intelligence in the years to come. So thank you so much for that.
Delighted to talk to you, Ankit.
Thank you so much, Dr. Oliver.